where we talk to members of the incredibly talented Canadian and Canadian alumni community here in the UAE and ask them for their point of view and for their outlook. My name is Ruda Borkatoki. I am the chairman of the Canadian Business Council of Dubai and the Northern Emirates. And today I am joined by Lucy Chow, who is an executive on the investment committee at the WBAF Angel Investment Fund. Hi, Lucy, how are you?
Hi there, Ruda. I've got my coffee.
Fantastic. Me too, and I'm all ready.
Yes.
So, Lucy, first of all, honored to have you here. You are one of the most established members of the Canadian community in Dubai, and certainly one of its greatest supporters. But I know a lot about what you do, but for our viewers who are a little bit less initiated, could you tell us a little bit about what you do and what you're working on at the WBAF?
Sure. Yes, I'm very involved in the investor and innovation space, Ruda. So you mentioned the WBAF, and essentially it's the World Business Angels Forum, an affiliated partner of the G20 Global Partnership. And essentially what we focus on is fostering innovative financial instruments for startups, entrepreneurs, innovators. We also promote gender equality, and we're actively trying to get funds to entrepreneurs all over the world. I also film and have a video series titled Down to Business. And 2 other facts about me. I was a LinkedIn top voice for 2020 in MENA last year, which was awesome. And I'm authoring a book on esports and gaming.
That's fascinating. I know, Lucy, one of your focuses has really been on supporting women entrepreneurs, and I know that the goal of gender equality and gender parity in the world of startup financing has been one of your MOs. Could you tell us a little bit more about what got you into the space, what motivates you, and how, and what the state of play is at the moment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, essentially, we all know, Ruda, especially being the chair of the CBC, entrepreneurs are the bedrock of every economy. And, if you look at all female founder teams versus just male founder teams, they tend to outperform financially, just male founder teams. So we need the diversity. So there's a real monetary reason for investing in women founded startups. So, one of the things that motivates me is that I want to see more women on the other side of the table, meaning more women making decisions of where to put their money and who to invest in. So I really like to advocate to see more investors in general, support the startup ecosystem. And also then we're putting money into teams that have at least one female founder to make sure we're moving the dial and ensuring funding goes to female founders.
And how are you finding that, Lucy? Are you finding that the message is percolating? Is the level of enthusiasm building?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's interesting in MENA, we have, the statistics are really fascinating. 1 in 3 startups in MENA is founded or led by women. So this is a much higher percentage than in Silicon Valley, right? And then women in Arab countries make up for 34 to 57% of STEM graduates. And that's also much higher than in universities across Europe and the US. So we have all the makings of a great ecosystem. What we're lacking is role models. Because when we talk about entrepreneurs or tech entrepreneurs, let's be specific, we still name, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, so forth. And we need to start, putting in the names of female founders in this space, right? And we've got so many in the region, right? We've got so many great, like a Donna Benton, right, of The Entertainer, or Mona Tyre of Mum's World, Catherine Budd of Now Money. So we have some challenges to get through. And I also want to really reiterate that I like to personally focus on bringing together a network of entrepreneurs, investors, mentors, media, and leveraging communities like the CBC, so we can continue to move the dial for female entrepreneurs in the Arab world.
For sure. I mean, what you said is fascinating, and because you're right, it does seem like the bedrock is absolutely there. What Looking at it from the perspective of a female founder, what would you say are the biggest challenges that female founders and female business owners face that are unique to that being in that position?
Sure. I want to, I think lack of warm introductions.
Huh.
So it's a fact that startups with an introduction to a VC, for instance, were 13 times more likely to get funded than those without. And so a young female entrepreneur, very successful, just said to me recently, like when she started out, she was like, I had no idea who to approach. If I didn't go to XYZ school where I didn't have a network, where would I even start? And it's known that men are just better at, for instance, male graduates that, a lot of them are working together to fund each other's companies, right? And that
Right.
unfortunately sometimes leaves out women and the diverse. And she also asked another really poignant question: how do I even get my first media interview? And so things like that, a media like 15 seconds with you, it makes a big difference for whether someone's known or not known. And recently I moderated a panel of female entrepreneurs and in MENA, and one of the key takeaways was that it was important to build confidence in women. So that means confidence in attaining external financing, confidence to grow their individual social capital, and frankly, confidence in ensuring that they bring along male champions and sponsors that will talk about them and their venture to their networks.
That is fantastic. And, it's exactly in that spirit. Earlier this year, we at the CBC launched the Women in Business Connect group. So we're focused
Awesome.
on building smaller communities. And one of the rationales for putting forward the Women in Business Connect group was actually to provide female entrepreneurs and female leaders of all sorts, business and not in business, with a platform to get themselves exactly this kind of exposure and to really build that confidence and that momentum in the initiative.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And that's so tangible. We just need more initiatives like that, Ruda.
They'll be coming. Lucy, on that front, thinking about it more from the perspective of an angel investor, what are the core areas of sectoral focus that you're looking at the
Sure.
moment? Where do you think the opportunities are from an investment standpoint for the coming year?
There's quite a few, but I'll just focus on three. So number one, fintech, for instance. So countries that are focused on fintech are expected to continue to innovate. And here, many fintech unicorns debuted in the region. So in 2021, we expect to see more fintech companies try to penetrate this market in MENA as the demand for cashless payments, online banking, and other financial services will continue to grow. Number two, health tech. In the past year, obviously, we've seen significant improvements to healthcare services, especially in the MENA region. So in a very short period, the industry, has delivered successful telemedicine, remote treatments, long-term care. This all plays a key role in driving investors to further deploy funds and transform the sector. And number three, esports and gaming. So esports is intrinsically tied to the future of work, and this is what I'm passionate about. And the opportunities are immense. So, and furthermore, our nation, the UAE, and others in MENA have placed the growth and development of this sector as a priority item on their national agendas. So those three.
Interesting. And if I had to marry sort of the first part of our conversation with this part, which of these three sectors do you think is the most deficient in terms of representing, having gender parity and bringing women into the fold in leadership positions?
Wow. Okay, that's a really good question. I would think because all of them rely on tech, and we talked about that earlier. We still, although we have the educated female workforce and so forth, we don't see still enough women in the tech sector. So
Right.
I'm just going to say in general, we're still missing a trick in all these sectors. But very quickly, it's interesting. People think there's not a lot of women in esports and gaming. There are lots, and that doesn't mean just gamers. This is like developers of games, casters. I mean, there's just so many professions in that sector, and that's why I talk a lot about the future of work. And the book, at some point, maybe you'll be kind enough to ask me to come back to talk about it. But
Absolutely.
I have 38 authors, and half of them are female. So yeah, so there's more females than we realize in that sector.
Wow. Well, no, Lucy, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today, and for shining a spotlight on what you do. I think that what you do is incredible, and I really wish you all the best. And we at the CBC are firmly here to support you.
Thank you so much, Ruda. Yeah, I think what you guys are doing is really special too. Thanks so much, Ruda, for having me. I'll see you soon.